What's going on, guys? Welcome on into the Marshals Minutes. I am Tyler Louder. He is Micah Ortiz. We are your play-by-play broadcast announcers doing play-by-play and color commentating for all your home games here for the Rapid City Marshals. We decided, why don't we talk about the games that happen on the road to give you fans a perspective. Maybe you didn't see the whole game. Maybe you tuned away for a little bit. Maybe you turned it off early. Who knows? But today, we're going to break down and kind of go over the good and the bad from Sunday's special game. Micah, first impressions from the game. Tell me, like, as you were watching it, what is the first thing that just like stood out to you that kind of baffled you here?
I think outside of the score, I think a lot of what stood out to me was some costly turnovers. We mentioned earlier before the show, we mentioned there's 6 turnovers, 2 interceptions, 3 lost fumbles, costly fumble at the one, and back-to-back drives that ended in turnovers. So I think limiting that is more of a key to success. And obviously, if you lose turnover battle, odds are you're going to lose the game.
Yeah, and they had a field goal blocked as well. They had an onside kick that was returned for a touchdown. So that is 3 kickoff return touchdowns in the past 2 weeks for these Marshals, something that you don't see very often in indoor football, period, because it's such a tight space. And as Micah was alluding to, yes, the Billings Outlaws beat the Rapid City Marshals 63-21. It was 39-7 at half, 24-14 in the second half. So a much better second half for these Marshals. The Billings Outlaws move on to 5-2, where the Rapid City Marshals move on to 1-6, now losing 6 consecutive games. They do get back-to-back home games, which we'll touch on at the end of the show. If you're following along with us here, go ahead and like this page, follow along. We're going to, subscribe. We're going to drop content like this every week for your Marshals throughout the season now and next season. And make sure you follow the Rapid City Marshals on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter as well. So let's talk about some miscues. And let's talk about Billings. We have to mention it. The live stream there, I had a lot of fans messaging me, asking me what's going on. No first quarter on the live stream. There was issues there. The scoreboard and the clock were constantly off. So the updating of that stuff was gone. And even that distractions where the game looked closer couldn't help the Marshals here. As you said, 2 interceptions, 3 lost fumbles, 1 blocked field goal, special teams touchdown for the other team, for Outlaws. A lot of negative things here that happened. So let's reflect on the positive. We'll kind of bounce back and forth. What is something that you saw out of this game that you were pleased to see going forward for these Marshals?
Johnson, he was able to scramble and use his legs a little bit more than in the past we have saw. He's obviously no Demetrius Davis, who did not travel with the team, but it is nice not only to relying on the quarterback's arm when you can rely on somebody's legs. I know that two interceptions it's kind of a bad thing, but I thought he played well with his legs, and good job scrambling for a 7-yard touchdown too.
I think the mobility factor was the positive there, because he did have 2 rushing touchdowns, one in the first quarter, one in the third quarter as well. His passing was so-so. The snaps were not so good, but his ability to get out of the pocket or pick up a bad snap and run it in is a positive for the team, and that's something you kind of need. That's what Davis kind of sparked some life into the Marshals last week. He didn't travel the team, unsure of why those reasons are, but this is Johnson's second game. He is one of 4 players that have played quarterback for the Marshals this season in 7 games, 8 if you count the preseason. That's not a recipe for success. That's too much change. There's really little lack of chemistry there. Other stats that we saw through there, Z Roberson had a pretty big game. He had 5 catches, 74 yards. Kevin Chisholm had 1 catch for 22 yards, but it was another touchdown. And that came late in the game, which we kind of see him doing more and more in the fourth quarter. Kind of turns it up. Jasonis Tillery had a decent game, 3 catches, 21 yards, and Connor Olsen also had 21 yards. Melissa Stroller, 0 for 1 on field goal attempts, blocked, but she did go 3 for 3 at extra points, so kind of fixed that kicking well there. Most of the kickoffs were outside the onside kick that was returned. It was a lot better than we saw last week at home. Let's talk about some of the first half fails. Like, what was it out there that was hurting this defense?
Containing quarterback Charles McCollum. He's a stud. He's able to scramble. He's able to throw. So I think creating pressure is kind of a thing. Like Tony Thompson, he can't be the only one creating pressure and leverage on the defense. So and then we talked about holes in the secondary too. Louder, you can touch more about that. Holes 10 yards past the linebacker.
Yeah, as it seemed like the Marshals were doing a. I thought they were doing a good job up front. I thought this combo that we have now of Corey Henry on one side, Mike Gant on one the other, and then Tony Thompson in the middle are a really good trio. I think it's maybe the best part of this Marshals defense right now. I do think there's a lot of defensive backs and linebackers that do make some big plays in the open field, but it did seem like there was a lot of miscommunications on defense where 10 plus yards on the field, as you were saying, there was some just open holes that we saw McCollum kind of expose. He went 15 for 19 on the day, only threw for 102 yards. He also ran for like a dozen yards almost, but he threw 7 touchdowns. And a lot of those situations that he was put in, a lot of those touchdowns I'm watching, it just looks like miscommunication on who's got what guy, who's playing what zone. Little tiny things that could be fixed. Billings is a pretty good team, number 2 in the conference. Now, Tony Thompson, you alluded to him. He was on a mission. He had a forced fumble. We didn't recover it. He had 2 sacks on the day. Fantastic play from our nose tackle, who has to run through everything just to even get to the quarterback.
Yeah, it makes entire defensive line's job easier when the interior pass rusher is interior pass rushing. It helps out Corey Henry and Mike Gant on the sides, and it helps out the secondary too if the man in the middle is disrupting and isn't just plugging the runs. So I think that is something to look forward to, especially for Marshall fans who are coming out next week and on Memorial Day on next Monday. So kind of look forward, look for the big man in the middle because he's a man on a mission. He's here to prove something. He's young and got something to prove.
Now, there was a lot of issues with snaps in this game. Brandon Grady was out with injuries, so brand new offensive lineman. We have Justin Calderon from Chadron State actually had to shift over from guard to center, a new position. Like if you're not familiar with that, if you're not getting in hundreds of reps with a quarterback, getting those snaps up, you see miscues where he starts to develop, in the shotgun, he starts progressing well and snapping accurately. And then right under center at that 1 yard line, we have a miscommunication. And then we draw back again for a shotgun snap. And now we have another miscommunication. And it seems like that's a position that they really need to fix because all season long on field goal attempts, extra points, some just shotgun snaps throughout the line, there's fumbles all over on this miscue of the snap that needs to be cleaned up. And I think that Grady getting healthier, coming back, that can help out right there. Calderon can go play his natural position and it can kind of help out the team a little more. And another thing that they really need to work on is if Jake Johnson's going to stay as quarterback. He's going to have competition this week as brand new from, Benedictine Ife just got brought in and signed by the team last week. He's going to learn the offense over the weekend. He was there, observed the game. And this week, we're going to have a little quarterback competition where either Johnson's going to hold on to the job, kind of fix some of these miscues, and maybe lead receivers a little bit better this next game, or we're going to have the 5th starting quarterback for the Marshals.
Yeah, I think potentially the new quarterback come in. He could be the spark, or maybe we find some more consistency with Jake Johnson. I found a little bit concerning how he might be throwing a double traffic, but if 0% or Kevin Chisholm is open, he trusts him enough, and he's played with them, and albeit one other game. But if he trusts them enough, he can make those throws. That is partially where some of these mistakes have led. So it'll be interesting to see. I guess we will all find out together next Saturday.
Yeah, because as the team progresses, we have to see how the playbook is learned. The Marshals do like to kind of run with one quarterback on the roster a lot of times. They don't always have 2 on game day rosters. But it'll be interesting to see back at home. What we're going to have to see here is that if these quarterbacks want to get into a rhythm, they need to lead a little bit more. I saw like 3 or 4 times that like Kevin Chisholm had like 2 steps on the defensive backs, like guys that in the league have like 4 or 5 interceptions for the Outlaws. He was burning them and beating them, but there was just not enough zip on those passes. And they were lofted too much. And it seemed like they were waiting for the play to break down completely before making that pass instead of anticipating and going with that route. If you could put enough zip on it, even if a defensive back gets there, he probably won't be able to intercept it. But I do think building this chemistry, getting Davis back next week. Levon Macon potentially could be making a return off a short-term IR, which will be really nice for this team to get a nice little boost. And maybe we could see a little more from Smith and Christmas as well. This team getting healthy is the story of the season. Obviously, injuries to Bobby Fralick beginning of the season really hindered them. Rotating offensive line in and out has kind of hurt them. Receivers in and out getting hurt has hurt them. If this team can get healthy, 6 teams make the playoffs. They have 3 games left. Wyoming is 1 game ahead of them. If they can keep this game with Omaha close and competitive, like they do, they play better at home, and they can steal a win here, beat Wyoming, they're in the playoffs. Simple as that. Win 2 of the next 3, you're in.
It's very achievable.
Very. And with all of that being said, we're out. Those are our Marshals minutes here, recapping Game 7 of the Rapid City Marshals at the Billings Outlaws. Again, I am Tyler Lauder. He is Micah Ortiz. We are your guys' play-by-play announcers here on YouTube for Rapid City Marshals home games. We will be back next week to recap our 4th home game of 5. It'll be interesting to see how they play. Hopefully we get a good, clean, fun family game, and we can get some development and health back for these Marshals.
There we go.